Hi, I'm IKEA, and for today's video, we're going to have a build showcase on a HotShot TurDro hybrid, together with a counterpart of it that I've already build showcased, which is the HighEnd variant of a similar build. We'll be mostly going over the HotShot variant, but also the HighEnd has gotten a little bit of an update. And what both of them are is the intent of having the killing power of a Headhunter, and then together with that, pairing it with some skills, in this case turret and a drone, to act as our decoys, to act as extra damage, to act as things that kill stuff for us while we kill the bigger stuff. And we'll go over both builds in this showcase, as we'll go over the refresh of the Headhunter, HighEnd Headhunter, and then together with the HotShot Headhunter, both being TurDro hybrids. And as always with these build showcases, I'll be using the build collection and several build pictures from there too in this case. It will of course be linked down below together with the build pictures and also a little spreadsheet later on, although we won't be going into numbers, into DPS numbers for this one because that doesn't make sense for these kind of builds. But I have collated their first shots and second shots and cap shots, so we can have a look at that for the different variants. And of course, you can jump around, as everything will be timestamped, so you can jump around to a segment. If you aren't interested in parts of it, you can just jump to the gameplay if you want to. And yeah, this is the build we'll be discussing today, mostly, which is the HotShot Headhunter TurDro hybrid. It is a mouthful. Usually I, of course, HotShot becomes HS, Headhunter becomes HH, and TurDro hybrids especially, I shorten to TurDros. So I usually call this one the HSHH TurDro. And what it is built around is that it is 4 pieces of HotShot. And on 4 HotShot, on the 2 pieces, we get marksman rifle damage and weapon handling. 3 piece, we get the headshot damage from it. And on the 4 piece, we get the mechanics from HotShot. And that is that it has a rolling 3-shot mechanic, which will repeat as long as you keep hitting headshots. In there is that the second shot will have a 20% amp. The next shot after that will have an 10% bonus armor. But if you are at full armor, you will get healing if you're not at full armor, and you will get bonus armor if you are at full armor. Furthermore, at the 3rd consecutive headshot, you will get a reload of your magazine, and that is quite handy for especially the marksman rifles, which can have a really long reload, of course. And then from the 4th headshot onwards, so the 5th one, the 5th headshot you hit, you will actually get all 3 bonuses each and every time. So if you consecutively hit headshots, you can actually keep this rolling and get the bonus armor, the bonus ammo, basically, as well, together with the bonus amp, the 20%. And that it makes it very powerful. Now, of course, there is a mechanic that we can use for that, as we'll get to the weapons, but determined, of course, feeds into that. Here, I have taken them all with headshot stats, and we'll see in the build picture in a second how it's perfectly laid out. But most of it is headshot. On the chest, we're taking weapon handling as well. The memento as well here is with headshot. And of course, we're using the memento especially because it will feed into both our weapon and into our skills. As this is truly a TurDro hybrid, we are going for having a 6-tier turret and drone. Later on, we'll go into a separate variant towards the end, where we'll make it with having 3 more red cores and trying to do it with Future Perfect to reach that 6 skill tiers. But for the core one, I feel this is the way to go, where we have the 6 skill tiers at all times, making the turret and drone actually pretty effective. Not so much in damage, because we don't have much skill damage here. We will be getting the skill efficiency from the long drops. We won't be running around much and picking up short drops a lot. We'll be just filling up the long buffs. And the short buffs will not really be a part of what we're going to do here. Then on this one, I have the Areldi chest. And here I'm picking Areldi over having Chaingular because these are, of course, the same, basically the same weapon damage. This gives 10% marksman rifle damage. The chain killer, being Walker and Harris, gives 5% weapon damage, which is the same pool. They go into the same amount. Now, of course, chain killer has, as it's perfect, has that it instead of deals an additional 125%, it has an additional 150% of that killing blows damage, which makes it so that the second shot and the third shot with chain killer will actually be higher than the Araldi, but then the Araldi can actually do a fourth shot that is higher than the chain killer, but also its first shot is a little bit higher. And all that makes it that I'm picking the Araldi, and that is actually a specific break-even point that I'm going for as I needed that for on the second shot especially, because we could have the second shot be a little bit higher if we went chain killer, but I don't need that, and I want the cap to be a little bit higher because we're actually at a very specific point that cap matters, especially for named enemies. Now, of course, that's altogether with having technician as our talent, as our specialization, makes it so that we have 6 skill tiers in total. We have 5 on the gear, and then a 6th one from technician, making the turret and the drone that we have on this build a 6th skill tier. And the turret and drone are really good all-round damage tools. You can just deploy them. They're not completely fire and forget, especially the drone kind of needs a little bit of micromanaging here and there to keep it active at all times, because sometimes when it kills someone, it comes all the way back to you, and you kind of have to, if you can avoid that and recognize when that happens and send it after a new target before it comes all the way back to you, you can actually get a little bit more out of it. Here, yeah, there are 6 skill tiers. There is no skill damage on the build except for the memento skill efficiency, feeding 30 once we have the memento fully charged up. But outside of that, only our pistol here is with InSync, and we'll actually be using the pistol here and there, as especially for Pistolero. There is a trick with the turret and drone where you can have them do the kills while you're just holding the pistol, not killing with the pistol, and you will actually get ammo out of it, which is of course important, as we'll be using this mostly as well for 5 directive work. And then we reach the main weapons. I have actually both an SR1 and Model 700 equipped here currently. This is how I save the build, but generally I will pick one of these two as my main tool. And the interesting thing here is that, well, the SR1, especially on the high end, I kind of have to go with the SR1. Here we have a reloading mechanic with HotShot, so we can actually make use of the Model 700 and its extra damage, and not always hit that reload, because if you do it kind of right, and especially if you kind of cheese the hell out of Determined, you can, of course, make infinite reloads happen, basically, making it so that you can run the Model 700 pretty effectively. So I will pick one of those, and then I will pair it usually with either a Mantis as the secondary or a Nemesis. Each has a specific purpose. The Mantis actually is a really good tool for here because the turret and the drone will be pulling a lot of aggro away from us. We can actually make use of the Mantis in its intended way, where we have decoys, except our decoys shoot a little bit. They don't get refreshed by the mechanic of the Mantis. And the Nemesis, of course, has a really high cap, and that is kind of handy if you kind of fail and don't get your shot in. It might be actually handy to swap to a Nemesis, get that kill anyway, because on the first shot you can't even kill an elite with the Nemesis, which isn't hard, of course, because the Nemesis hits really hard, but of course has that charge-up mechanic. And also, if we run into rogues, I can swap to this and try to pelt a shot out, and I will get 2 rogues, of course. Then I can try to use that Headhunter stack to kill the other one pretty quickly, because of course I can stack in a very large amount of Headhunter. Now, having spoken over the HotShot variant, let's quickly peek at my myself, myself, and I up here, which is the HighEnd variant. And the HighEnd variant we've already built showcased at some point, but since then a lot of changes have happened, and that's actually also one of the reasons that this build has kind of crept up in my list of builds that I like. And that is, firstly, that, Habsburg has gotten even more powerful and has come into the game, first of all, and then been more powerful. Using 2B's Brazos is a really good choice as well in that setup. Together with, especially with this high-end variant, having the SR1 now be a very capable weapon means that This build used to need to carry around a white death if you wanted to kill with it. And the white death without a reload mechanic, which this build, of course, the high-end doesn't have. The HotShot has a reload mechanic, but this doesn't. So having something like the SR1, which isn't horrendous to reload and you can actually do it, makes for a much better experience with it. And that's also why I kind of want to revisit it, as both of these builds have kind of become my favorites of just running around and running HotShot solo, especially because if it's HotShot, it has enough killing power. We'll kind of see it in gameplay in a little bit and also in the numbers. It has enough killing power. It doesn't, of course, reach to the levels of a normal HotShot or normal, just if you were to Headhunter, a high-end or something. But for that price, we get a turret and a drone at 6 skill tiers. And then the thing that the high-end actually has to point that out is that it has a lot more skill damage. Let's go to a little spreadsheet that I've prepared that goes a little bit over on their damages. And here is a spreadsheet that I prepared. It is a little bit long. I wanted to show it in full here. It's a little bit tiny. We'll zoom in a second. But on the right, I went into the game, and these are the ones that I used recently as well, as we went over a Ninja Bike variant of trying to Headhunter. And going over the numbers and kind of just as a comparison between what their first shot, their second shot, and the cap shot was between several different builds. And I'm reusing that here. And the way that I've collated this data is actually to use in-game data. I haven't calculated it out. Headhunter has an annoyance of, especially if you have some form of DTA, which actually none of these builds have. But having DTA or DTH can really mess up the results. And make it annoying to calculate out and not get matching numbers within game. Instead of trying to match numbers within game, I've just taken the numbers from in game. We'll zoom in here, and yeah, so on the right, just to show that a little, is the numbers as they would have been in game, just shooting several times, making it that, and then I've just put them in these tables. The first one is with with HotShot pre-active. And what that means is that we have rolled around. So we've done 5 shots already. So that HotShot is basically cycling. It's in the mode that we would prefer it to be. And the reason for that is that otherwise it's kind of hard to compare in between HotShot, because here we have 20% on all the shots. That's not really fair towards builds that don't have HotShot. That's why later on we also have the HotShot non-preactive. So that means that the first shot that we take and hit does not have the HotShot bonus, and then the second one does, because that's how HotShot works, and then the third one then doesn't again, that 20% amp. Yeah, we have both variants here just to keep it fair. Here on the top one, we only have, of course, a HotShot Headhunter. We have all of the other ones as well. This is HotShot, Chainkiller, Araldi, but then with one with Vigilance, one with Bloodsucker, going with Chain plus Gift, Chainkiller plus Gift, or going Araldi Chest plus Gift with Vigi. These were all used in a different one to compare them against each other, together with having the 2-piece Habsburg variant, if you're interested how much that does more. But of course, what we're kind of here interested in is these builds versus a normal HotShot build. And yeah, it's very low. So it is, yeah, as we can see here as well, it's 2 variants for them as well, because they have the memento. So I have the memento unstacked, as you would when you start, and then the memento stacked at full once you kind of get going. It's not hard to keep the memento going, because you shouldn't die with this, you shouldn't be downed with this, and eventually you'll just fill it up after a control point or 2, or a few 3 or 4 activities, and then you should just be at full memento from that point onward. What we have when we have the full memento and the HotShot pre-stacked is that we go over the 6 million mark, and around that 6 million mark is where purples live. So once you have, without it, we definitely cannot start on a purple. So we need to start on a red, or we have a turret and a drone. And that can weaken enemies for us, taking them below this first shot value, and then we can take that first shot and hit them. This is also, of course, as well with the HotShot actually already cycling. So we're either on the second shot of HotShot or 5th shot and forward. Once we have the memento fully stacked, we do reach over that 6 million, and we can start on a purple as well. An important point is that the second shot is way above the 10 million that we would need. Around just below the 10 million mark is where elites live solo. And this 12, 13 million is more than enough to kill most elites. And with the 13 million, that includes the LMG elites from outcasts or for, well, not per se from True Sons, as those gunners do have a helmet, so you do need to take that off first, which is not 13 million, but underneath that they have another decent chunk. And at the cap shot here, we do have enough to kill a named, especially once we have it charged up. But again, also we have a turret and a drone to weaken a named if we need to. If we go to the high end, and here we have the high-end version and the HotShot, there's only one letter difference between them, making it a little bit harder to differentiate between them. The high-end has a little bit higher first shot, then loses it at the second shot, because then the HotShot amp comes in, and then they kind of cap around the same amount, but the high end is actually a little bit higher. And the high end, of course, as well, together with that, has then the TurDro being a little bit more damaging, but then the HotShot has the HotShot mechanics. And that HotShot mechanics leads us into this last one, as all of the other ones we're comparing with an SR1 with grade 25. But what of course the HotShot variant can run, and can run effectively, is that it can run this Model 700. So this is the big Model 700, also with grade 25. The 5 is kind of, it's there, I promise. And with that, even unstacked at a Momenta 30, we still can't really kill a purple starting out, unless we have the HotShot buff preactive. But our cap kind of goes way above that 20 million, meaning that we're much more certain to kill a name. And yeah, this is kind of the numbers I would kind of care about. The annoying thing is that, yeah, we're just below the killing the purple on that first shot. There is a little bit of a workaround, which we'll go into. First of all, you could, of course, give up Determined. Going with Ranger or basically anything else, you could get that kill with that first shot. But of course, Determined has its own values, and we'll go into that. But also, we'll use a version without going Determined, and we'll swap it out for Future Perfect, and together with a few red cores. That'll be likely the last version of this that we run. But yeah, we see that the second shot is more than enough to kill especially elites. The third shot is, in most cases, more than enough, especially once the Memento is charged up, to kill names. That's kind of all I need out of a HotShot build, and that's kind of as well why, to me, these do work. So yeah, let's jump in, and we'll take this build, and we'll reintroduce it for that, and we'll take it into some content. And we'll start off here with the HotShot variant. I'm going to take it with the Mantis as my secondary there. I'm going to actually use the M700 starting out. We will likely swap to the SR1, as I actually enjoy that a little bit more. Also, to bring up its build picture quickly, as we'll have a brief look at that. It isn't anything really special. It is pieces record to yellow. So this is a build that does require generally at least some optimization, as the HotShot comes with red cores, and because of that, you need to record them, and then everything else is headshot wherever possible, all the mods being headshot as well. The one place where we could, for instance, take a skill damage here, but I feel actually having just that extra one weapon handling, one skill damage was not going to make the difference here. One weapon handling makes more difference, I feel, than that. And yeah, so this is the layout that we're taking out right now. And yeah, we're going to actually run out of this safe house. It is on 5 directives on heroic. This is kind of what I feel the build is made for. We're going to run to this control point, the Navy Hill. Along the way, I'm checking if there is an group. There is there. One thing that is important with Pistolero is if you are holding your pistol with the ballistic skills, so not all skills, but the ballistic skills, so that is the sniper turret and the normal turret and the striker drone, you will actually get ammo off of enemies. And this is actually what I wanted to show here as well by being out in the open world a little bit. And this will be our starting ammo. Now, of course, we can also grab in the same way that we can for a HotShot. We can grab it from crates, having special ammo. While you can't, of course, get it from normal crates because... Oh, actually, what I need to do as well, as I almost forget there, is deconstruct my turret and my drone. I have 3 pickups here. Or hopefully I still have 3 pickups. And I will need those to get my turret and my drone back. Although actually I don't have the 3rd one for my drone, but that's fine. I'll get a quick dirty one if I have to. And for that one I went and out of my way a little bit and got a quick activity out of the way. As we'll push back into here. One annoying thing with turret and drone is that AI is affected by vision. Rain and such affects it pretty strongly. That AI is both friendly and enemy AI, and that includes the turret and the drone. I'm gonna put my turret pretty close up, and there was actually a patrol coming out, and I'm gonna use those as my starters. My turret is actually likely gonna die there, sadly, and that is not the outcome I had hoped for, but as I did not see that there was a rusher there. But I had a red there to start with. I have now enough charged in that I can kind of kill. These guys are pretty far away, and because of that, they can't actually have good vision on me. Meaning that they'll mostly go for my turret and my drone. They're killing them pretty quickly. A 6th tier. Now, in this case, of course, I'm not fully charged. I'm actually completely uncharged. I'm a memento. And that means that there is, those turret and drone are, while 6 skill tier, they don't have any, the skill health I would have from having the full memento. And that's also why we'll get this one. And yeah, I'm gonna grab one more, and I'm kind of sneaking in just to grab the pickups, just to get a turret and drone again. I'm gonna put my turret there, and I'm gonna fall back a little bit. Grab this, and with this build, it's very much you kind of have to play 2 things at once, which is to try to do the HotShot stuff of killing things. And you kind of have to keep an eye out on your turret and your drone. I'm going to recycle both. There is enough pickups here for me to reset them fully. So I'm just going to grab these 3. I'm going to make this a cake and put my cherry on top. And before I run up here, I'm going to call them in. I have a determined stack. I don't have headshot anymore, likely. I don't have HotShot either. Everything sounds alike here. But if I have a rusher, and one of the nice things with the turret and drone, even without anything else, their Q and E markers upon the enemy makes it so that it's pretty easy to see where enemies are. You can just scan the area and just those Qs and Es will pop up on enemies. So of course not as good as actually pulsing or anything, but yeah, these guys, especially with this fog, are kind of focused on my turret and my drone. They can't really see me. They don't have the distance vision to see me really. So that means they're kind of focused on them. No real shots are coming my way, letting me sit here and just be the sniper I want to be. Of course here, I'm missing a few shots here and there, losing my HotShot. And what I should do, of course, is actually pay a little bit more attention, try to get those shots in a little bit more and not take snapshots, but also I'm good with it. Now here we have an enemy. This is a LMG named. This guy will have around 25 million-ish at the very least. Actually closer likely to 27 million health and armor. So one shot of me will not kill him. If he's weakened enough, there, for instance, my turret and my drone did the work a little. I was likely at the edge of what my Headhunter was going to remain for. That did mean that I could finish him off. So yeah, here we saw it a little bit on working against one of the easiest of the factions for especially Headhunters, which is, of of course, the Outcast. Let's go up against Hyenas, a faction that you would generally avoid as the rushers have helmets and are generally annoying. But of course, I have some toys that can deal with them. And yeah, let's go murder some of those. And indeed, let's go after some Hyenas. Gonna go do the MLK Memorial Library. But first, we're gonna deal with these over here. And one thing I did do is grab the SR1, which is actually my preferred weapon for this, even for this one. One thing I wanted to show here, and I kind of want this, that lady over there to turn around, perhaps, which she likely won't do anymore because of that. But yeah, first of all, as you may notice, I'm not using a scope here anymore. And yeah, you don't need to use a scope. My preference does go towards having a scope. The ADS time is a lot faster if you don't have a scope. You can just bang them out like that. I feel this is beyond the level of cheesy that I'm okay with. Although, of course, that is per person. You have to decide yourself what level of cheese you're okay with. The tournament is considered pretty cheesy to begin with.
I can bring him back.
And one thing that you just have to keep in mind with this one is when you stop moving, you have to give it a second before you can start shooting in an actual accurate way. And yeah, this guy is all the way in the back. One thing as well, without the scope, one of the reasons I do kind of find it cheesy is you kind of know when you're on the enemy because it's red. So whenever it's red, you can basically take the shot and you will be fine. I'm gonna keep my drone out because I picked up all the things again, as I am very smart, as you may notice. Totally, I'm not forgetting to, you know, first deconstruct the drone and my turret and then pick up everything, which is the smart thing to do. But we have the game is being very kind and providing me solutions to my problems, which is this group. I'm also going to actually kill these guys with my pistol out, and also actually just pistoling, giving in sync. And actually as well, if I hit a headshot with my pistol, I do actually do decent damage because it is still in the end a build with an okay-ish amount of weapon damage. Not great, of course, with the skill tiers, but still a bunch of headshot behind it as well. I'm gonna recycle them now and then go grab the pickups so I have fresh ones for the control point. Also, with the last one, the memento was not fully charged and my turret and my drone died pretty quickly at the start. Here it is not the case. This time my memento is fully charged. Also, we don't have any fog, and not that's we do have fog of war, the directive, but we don't have just normal fog hanging around, making it hard for my skills to see shit. And yeah, I'm gonna be pretty aggressive. I'm gonna put my turret up there, and then I'm gonna fall back myself. I'm actually gonna. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna use the mantis here. So one of the things that the mantis had as a thing, although of course it was broken for a while, is that it marks heads, and especially for instance in a place like this where it's actually kind of hard to see, like where enemies are. That's his head. I know where his head is. Like I could of course run this in synergy to have it be an have a decoy, a 6-tier decoy, but I find I have 2 decoys. They get, especially the drone, gets killed a lot quicker than normal decoy. That I will not disagree with. But yeah, it's 3 pickups away from being back in this case. Now, of course, next season we'll likely have the cool skills, but then even then you would just have the time, the cooldown of the turret and drone, which isn't long. You do not really need skill haste for the turret and drone to be effective. And yeah, gonna try to poke out an eye. But actually, and yeah, the mantis scope does show when it is like this. This enemy is not aiming at me. If he is aiming at me, it's like that. It's a red one. And you do get a damage bonus in the same sense as behind you. This is the original behind you. And yeah, as you can see, most of these enemies are not really preoccupied with me. Meaning both that I get the bonus, but also that means that I'm not getting shot much Not as much as, you know, you would generally be. Letting me be a lot more aggressive, letting me be a lot more upfront, and still feeling pretty secure. And while I will definitely be the first to agree that I am not the greatest sniper, if there were enemies at my gates, I'd just open the gates and just booby trap something else. I wouldn't go sniping. But, you know, you can make it work. Here, for the defense, I am actually going to go back to an SR with the scope. One downside is, of course, we're not using sharpshooter, so we don't have access to the digital scope. But yeah, we'll just have to use the normal scope. That is one of the bigger downsides of this. Sharpshooter aligns really well with scoped gameplay, which this doesn't. I'm gonna use a quick med pack to try to, at least I'm trying to, except that my keyboard is a little bit messy on its control. Sometimes you have to kind of wiggle it till it works. I'm gonna call them in and then toss my turret.
Reinforcements en route.
And I'm gonna put my turret right there. Again, well, they can come from the left side, they can come from the right side. And they're coming from the left side. And I just pop that. One thing with these rushers, on the back of their head, there is actually a little area where you can shoot them, and they aren't protected. It's basically the nape of their neck, if you know what that is. Like just their neck and like the little piece of skull behind it. I'm gonna put my drone on this shield that will turn him around, making him a much easier shot. And now once I'm kind of going, although of course as well, I totally forgot here that I'm back to determined, and I can actually just shoot the shield on the shield. We have the issue here of our friends being in the way and making it so these guys are not pushing in into us. This is usually why I would much rather just not have those guys. I can capture this by myself. Thank you very much. Don't need them. And we have, of course, a convoy as well. That guy was wiggling in a very interesting way. Now comes the question, do I push into them or not? My drone is all the way there. Can I pick up my turret? Because I might need it. Although actually, I think my drone just killed a few there. Let's go be on that side. If nothing else, we'll also finish off the convoy. Hopefully the other waves will spawn here. Otherwise, we'll have to run all the way. But of course, that's kind of sometimes how this control point especially goes. Where's the last people of the convoy? Let's see if we can get that shot in. Yeah, it's not there. But yeah, you can shoot them at the back of their helmets.
Incoming hostiles detected.
And yeah, the incoming hostiles detected, all out happening there, and no one being here. Actually, that was from the... Okay, that was from the... So one of the things I could do, although I'm just going to kill them myself real quick here, is if I see a rusher, I can just put my my drone and my turret on them, and have them deal with that. Because rushers, especially hyena ones, they're the really only helmeted enemies of the hyenas outside of their heavies, of course. And they don't have much health or armor, so my turret and my drone can actually pretty easily kill one. Right, we got a resource convoy there, except that was not the thing, of course. We were here to murder a control point. You know what? I'll pick up this one. So, back to the task at hand. I have no idea what happened to that shot. Anyway, while I'm still trying to kind of headshot, that's completely unnecessary. I'm running the tournament, I can just quickly hit that once we get going. And that's the thing with this. This has more than enough killing power to still keep killing once we're going. Not, of course, as easily to start, but more than enough once it gets going to just even kill a name there. And I don't have to deal with these guys. I can just watch them die. And yeah, that's kind of why I like this kind of setup. So we saw this variant both with the M700, the Model 700, and the SR1. Let's go have a look at the high-end variant and how that kind of differs a little bit. And then we'll come back as well to this variant, but with a few more red cores. And here we are with the high-end variant in its new layout, which is with currently the Memento and the Araldi chest, 2 pieces of Habsburg and 2 pieces of Brazos, and with the Picaros being one of those 2 pieces, of course, for the weapon damage. This lines up pretty well. Using Brazos, especially if you're going for a yellow core hybrid, is actually always a good choice, as that has been the go-to for me as well with all of my high-end variants with TurDro hybrids. That's because it does line up to be a little bit stronger if you're going instead of especially such things as Fenris or Grupo. It can quite beat them outright on output. Against Cheska, it usually loses in a high-end build. If you're going for crit chance crit damage, you would have Cheska. In this case, Araldi is, for instance, a pick that does actually fit in well here. In this case as well, I have it basically headshot on all pieces. And actually, if you go to its build picture, although not completely updated yet, although well, not completely, as in not at all yet, is the older variant here, where I had it with Araldi backpack and a chainkiller chest. I've changed that to be the Memento now with the Araldi chest. That, of course, the Memento is a really good piece for hybridizing. The other pieces are still in the same layout, so we can actually look at those as well as actually the chest here. And that is that, yeah, headshot and then skill damage. We're foregoing the weapon handling. We're taking a little bit more skill damage here, together with the in-game variant having the Memento. I have the Memento here fully charged up. I've also gone and actually picked up a few special ammo, as one of the things is that while we don't have the TAC 50, that is a big loss. But actually here, for instance, we do have this Warhound. This Warhound would actually cause me pretty annoyance, although I can just determine shot it. But what I can also do is, instead of opening on an enemy just outright, that Warhound is gone. 6 shots will definitely kill it. 4 shots would be enough, but you know, there is no kill like overkill, because the overkill party never stops. And yeah, I'm gonna start working on these guys now. That's the missile launcher from Technician. While it oftentimes gets a bad rap, it is actually, if you're opening as your opener, it is actually not the worst thing ever. So yeah, actually I don't have a really good hard shot here against this guy. What I'm going to do instead actually is I'm going to body shot him with a Nemesis. My turret and drone are actually going to kill this thing. That's a given. I'll help them along with some body shots with the Nemesis, which actually isn't that strong. I won't be hitting him for a lot. But yeah, the turret and drone are there as well to kill. And that's the value of this thing, especially the high-end version as it is here, with a little bit more skill damage. Does do well. Especially because its turret and drone are significantly strong. That 40 skill damage more does matter. Of course, I'm giving up HotShot's mechanic. I really can't use a Model 700. And one of the reasons that this build actually has come back into favor with me is you used to need to run a White Death, and a White Death was just annoying. You had to actually reload it. And there is really no weapon handling here, for instance, where even a HotShot, when you were reloading the weapon, the White Death or a Model 700, you actually have a ton of weapon handling just from the gear set, just from the extra rolls. There aren't any here, making it so that since the buffs to the SR1, these kind of builds have kind of become the build that I quite often gravitate to. Let's take this one as well into a control point. We'll likely go with one of the New York factions and actually deal with that. And to continue on with this high-end version, let's take it up against a control point here as well. And yeah, the nice thing about this one is that it does have a little bit more firepower in its turret and its drone. And for that, we're paying the price of a little less on the first shot, a lot less on the second shot, especially as well. The HotShot buff comes in, of course, at that point. But it is not weak in any form. And yeah, especially here, I'm taking some of the shots. There's an extra patrol here as well. That's kind of actually... Those guys got focused up on me, but as you can see, a lot of these guys are focused on my turret and my drone. And yeah, after a while, it becomes a skill of just who's focused on me and who's focused on my turret and my drone. And I'm not doing the best job here, as also my I have the fragile armor bug here. But yeah, no, it's fine. My true protection is in the form of my health gate, which luckily cannot be bugged. And I just need to poke and poke. Just poke out and poke out. With Rikers, of course, we do have these guys, which are lieutenants. They do give ragers, basically, in effect, to all of their allies while they're alive. Meaning that, yeah, we do have to take care of them, because otherwise their pool is much larger. That named being an sniper, I'm pretty confident in just taking them out in the shot. And yeah. We already called them in. The reinforcements are inbound, so I'm gonna reposition. Good thing too, because I hear them behind me already. As yeah, one of their spawning points is up there. I'm gonna actually grab some of these. I'm gonna recycle my turret or my drone specifically. Starting out, I'm gonna send out a fresh one. As I'm forgetting where the rope is, we'll take this rope up. Hoping I make it, just barely. And yeah, one of the things that is important with this build is stuff like that. That enemy was behind cover as for my turret, but my turret was still trying to kill it, and meaning that it wasn't doing anything. Who are you and why are you up here? Can I see your credentials? But yeah, I'm gonna just take the high ground here. As you should, being any form of long-range weapon. And range is very much a tool that you have to kind of use with this. Being further away from the enemy, especially being further away than your turret and your drone, is, you know, one of the reasons I feel this works. And yeah, especially with Determined here, there isn't much for these guys to do. Once I'm kind of ready to go, and yeah, here the named is the lieutenant. Gonna need him likely weakened a little bit because also my memento isn't all the way full. I can likely kill this rusher, but everybody else will likely just be on the edge of what I can kill. But again, I have my turret, I have my drone. I can have those weaken enemies for me, and then I'll take the shot. And keep enemies busy. Yeah, well, I did armor break a bunch here. Gonna get through it, and pretty easily as well in the end. Like there was no real points of danger. Let's go back to the HotShot variant, where we'll actually variant it out to be with Future Perfect. And here we are back with the HotShot variant. So one thing that I enjoy doing with this one as well, especially a tip if you don't like Determined, as I know a lot of people are against it. What you can do as well is do what I do here, and that is to swap this out for, in this case, Future Perfect. You can also go in sync. In sync, in my opinion, doesn't work really well. You also have the option of preservation. Preservation in general is actually not a bad choice and works really well. But in this case, I'm going to go Future Perfect there. And on this character as well, I have just a normal HotShot build, of course, just the old classic HotShot, in this case with Habsburg, just because being fancy, of course. What I can do is swap out the pieces that are with for that from that build, which are just weapon damage headshot. So I'm giving up the yellow cores, but of course in this case those yellow cores I can get them back with feature perfect. So I'm taking my skills down to being 3 skill tiers at what they are, and then we can get both 3 more skills tiers from Future Perfect. And of course, if we get a 4th kill after that, we'll be at 6 skill tiers, so we will be fulfilling this and granting overcharge for 15 seconds. So that overcharge is really good and really handy. I'm gonna grab some special ammo here, as yeah, that will give me extra 30 rounds. I'm gonna run away from that convoy, and I'm hoping they're not going into my control point, but they are, of course. I'll deal with them actually together with the control point. But I'm gonna go get set up here on this side. I'm actually gonna put my turret right here. Gonna pull my drone. Gonna see about finding the purple, although I don't see them. What I'm gonna do is I'll actually already put my turret and my drone on people. And actually now I do see the purple. And actually the fire there was enough to murder that person. So what I can do is actually leave some enemies for my turret and my drone. They'll weaken them a bit, and then I can finish them off. And one of the nice things here is not everybody is shooting at me again, so even though my turret and my drone are not as powerful as the other ones were a second ago, they are still pretty powerful. And of course, I will grant them overcharge, as I did there already. And overcharge, of course, yeah, it adds quite a bit of damage to them, quite a bit of health as well. But they are quite weak starting out, so of course, determined just for its killing potential on enemies is really powerful. But of course, yeah, if you don't want to go that route, I would recommend this, trying out this, just having Future Perfect, having also in that case you do not need a lot. You only need 1 piece record. All of your other pieces can be just from any HotShot build. I'm gonna heal back up here. But of course that comes at the cost of actually headshotting, but also, you know, if you're running a sniper build, isn't that half the fun? And I do really enjoy this, usually as well. One other advice, a general advice for sniping in general, is to play with your sensitivity, putting it quite low. And for in this case, I'm using that with DPI. So actually I lowered my DPI there, meaning that in effect my sensitivity is down a little bit as well. That helps a lot actually, more so than you would think. You can also go into the options, it's under controls, it's the first setting up there. You can change your mouse sensitivity, and what you can do as well with the game is actually change your aim sensitivity independent of your aim sensitivity. So you can have just the aim be a lot more sensitive. Yeah, let's finish off these guys. Although actually, yeah, my turret and my drone are extinct, mostly because I'm fighting two things here, both the control point and I'm gonna actually push in here. I'm gonna take the left here. This guy will actually likely get a few shots on me, but that's fine. I want my turret and my drone to help with this. One thing I like about being on that high ground where I was is that actually, yeah, these lawnmowers can't get to me. I would love for my drone to go and fight the name, but of course a drone is a drone, and yeah, they're cats. You don't hurt cats, but because yeah, I can't one-shot that guy. That is not an option that I have. My drone is kind of fixated on this thing that also completely almost murdered me there, as I could not move for some reason. Anyway, we're kind of making a mess of it here, but also I'm just gonna just buy. That opened up my key. It was a tactical move. It was worth it. And yeah, we'll go after our last two enemies here. And especially, I want that guy weakened a little bit before I actually go after him. And I really want to get a headshot on this gal. That would be nice if she wasn't fidgeting like that, but... So I do have a decently charged up shot. But this guy is likely still too powerful. But I'm going to take it in a second. If he pops up, he's going to pop up in a second. If he isn't, I'm going to do that. So yeah, I didn't have the killing power though. But I'll just follow it up. I'm going to actually pick up my turret there. Grab these. I haven't actually called them in yet. Could have done so for safety. So having trouble getting onto the ladder. But yeah, we did an assault and a convoy together. Let's do the defense here. And one recommendation is put your turret, and especially kind of high, so it's overlooking enemies. And I really like, for instance, that spot. And it's in a pretty good overlook position.
Reinforcements en route.
I'm just gonna wait to get my drone out.
Detecting additional hostile
Yeah,
contacts.
they're spawning on that end. And of course, not having determined, I can actually shoot these guys in their weak point and just blow them up. And of course, this guy is gonna come in my way. But actually, no, my drone got it. Although it paid the price for it as well. And hey, I would really recommend playing around with your sensitivity. Something that a lot of people, I feel, don't do. I also was always like, that doesn't really make a difference. Yes. Turns out, yes. And while I did lose my drone, I still have my turret. I should maybe go downstairs and maybe get some pickups. But I think me and my turret will be fine. Although, yeah, they're coming from there and they're getting scattered by my allies.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
Likely what happened there is that one of the waves just spawned and the rusher in that team instantly killed himself. You can, of course, if you need to panic shoot, which I did, you can actually kill someone if you still have your Headhunter. I did give up my Headhunter there, of course, but I did get the kill. We'll get this guy back up. And yeah, these guys are scattered to the wind, as often end up being. But I really enjoyed this gameplay because, yeah, I do have to actually headshot. Which, you know, makes it feel a little bit more like a sniper's build. Sure. I mean, I'm happy I'm alive. I don't know why, but I don't know why I'm alive. I do know why I'm happy I'm alive. Yes.
They won't see us coming this way.
Yeah. It's, that rusher was... Okay, that the last guy? Or is that the name? That's the name. Another LMG. Although a normal HotShot build can't also one. Headshot these. Okay, I'll just wait for him to set up. And yeah. That way we can get a kill in.
Control point in proximity.
So yeah, let's take this to its conclusion, where I'll talk one last time a little bit about both builds, and we'll give our final thoughts. And yeah, to conclude this video, I very much enjoy these Headhunter TurDro hybrids. The HotShot variant, as we have it here, the HighEnd, as we showed, the upgraded variant, as of course that was already featured in a build showcase. Especially this HotShot, I like it a lot with Determined, because you kind of do need Determined to get this cycling going out of the HotShot, Or if you are a really god tier sniper, yeah, you can definitely get it out as well with just other talents. And for instance, especially going with 3 more red cores here and getting that future perfect, I kind of like that gameplay, and I kind of like that build as well. As yeah, it's pretty powerful, and especially the overcharge helps quite a bit. If you aren't going determined, I would say that actually maybe the high end is a little bit better, because you're not putting yourself in this situation where you do need to have consecutive headshots. So you can miss a few times without as big of a deal, of it being as big of a deal. In this case as well, these are very much endgame builds. As you saw, I was mostly running grade 25 weapons. You kind of benefit a lot, especially with this kind of build where it is a lot of yellow cores, so I'm missing a lot of red cores, so I'm benefiting more from having this weapon damage here. And especially as well, all of these are, for instance, recored, meaning that basically you will need at least a little bit of optimization cost. And of course, with the other variant, you're kind of looking for unicorns, not super unicorns, but just unicorns, as you do need headshot skill damage for them for several of the pieces in both the Habsburg and for one of the Brazos pieces. The Picaros is pretty easy to get, making these builds pretty expensive. But for an endgame player, I would definitely recommend them, especially if you run around solo, especially if you're already enjoying HotShot. This can be alongside of a HotShot. I wouldn't recommend this in front of having made a HotShot build and just trying out that. But if you enjoy that gameplay, you could add this in to have a little bit of a variation in there. And yeah, we come to the end of this build showcase finally, as yeah, we had a lot of people showing up and getting in our way, and I had to redo a lot of the segments over and over again, but it's fine, right? Yeah, for my future videos, we're gonna go back into a few build overviews, as I'm planning to make a few, and we're gonna also have a few in-depth guides, as I've actually started up writing a few of them up. So we'll have an in-depth guide into specialization, into countdown, and also into skills. And we'll go a little bit into, and they'll all have a written guide, and together with that, an accompanying video. So yeah, that's all coming up. And sorry as well that it took a little bit, as we've had a little bit of a drought in between, as yeah, work has been had picked up, but now actually is in a little bit of a more quiet spot. So I'll be catching up with a few videos here and there. So yeah, thanks for joining me. And if you did, if you can, feel free to do all of the algorithm things down below, pushing all the buttons till everything breaks. And if you want more of me, I'm oftentimes streaming in the evenings, both on Twitch and YouTube's. And finally, as always, have a good night.